Hello there. Welcome to Chapter 9 of The Hidden Queen, the true story of Susan Pevensie. The Stone Table Remembered. Mum, can you hear me? Catherine's voice from very, very far away. Mum, can you hear me? Susan's lips moved. Edmund, she breathed. Mr. and Mrs. Beaver's house. I saw him leave. I said nothing. Catherine looked at Sarah across the bed in bewilderment. But Susan wasn't in the hospital. She was 59 years away, and the memory was total, unstoppable, like a dam shattering after 6 decades of holding. The fire crackled. Mrs. Beaver was clearing dishes, and Mr. Beaver said, "They say Aslan is on the move." The name hit Susan like electricity through every nerve. Not just a word, a physical event, like every cell in her body waking from a long sleep simultaneously. Around her, she felt the wave of it, Peter's face blazing with sudden fierce hope, Lucy's gasp of pure joy. And then she turned her head and looked at Edmund's chair. Empty. He'd gone, slipped out in the one moment everyone was caught in the wave of that name. And Susan knew with cold, absolute certainty where he'd gone. She should speak, should shout, should grab Peter's arm and say, "Edmund's gone. Edmund's gone to the witch." Her mouth opened and the voice came. Not her voice, something placed, something that was not hers. "Let him go. He's been nothing but trouble. We're better off without him." Her mouth closed. She said nothing. And Edmund, her brother, walked out into the winter night. And Susan, in a hospital bed 59 years later, understood for the first time exactly what she had done and what had been done to her. They found Edmund, rescued him, but the damage was done. Edmund had broken faith, had gone to the witch, had betrayed everything, and deep magic demanded its price. Susan stood at the edge of camp the night before the execution and felt the guilt descending. Her fault, her silence, her failure to speak. If she'd only spoken, they could have stopped him, could have reached him before he reached the witch. Susan the gentle. She turned. Aslan was standing at the tree line, watching her with those eyes. "Come," he said, "walk with me." Into the forest, away from the camp, away from Lucy sleeping by the fire, into the darkness between the trees, where stars showed between branches and the world felt old and vast and serious. Aslan walked beside her. "You know what Edmund has done," he said. "Yes." Her voice was barely there. "And I know whose fault it is." "Tell me." "Mine. I saw him leave. I knew where he was going, and I said nothing." "Why? Why did you say nothing?" "There was a voice," her hands pressed together. "It said he was nothing but trouble, that we were better off, and I listened. I wanted him gone. And because I said nothing," the words stopped. "He's going to die," Susan said finally. "Edmund is going to die, and you are going to die for him, and all of it because of my silence." The forest was very still. Look at me.
Look at
Aslan
me.
said. She looked at him, and in his eyes she saw something she hadn't expected. Not anger, not judgment, but love, ancient and fierce and completely certain. Susan, he said, the deep magic requires what it requires. Edmund's betrayal demands blood. Tomorrow I will die at the stone table. But, and his voice carried something that turned the word enormous. The day after I will rise, because there is a deeper magic, a magic the witch has never understood, a magic that says when willing, innocent blood is spilled on the table itself will crack, the death will work backwards. You're going to come back? Susan breathed. Yes, but that is not what I need to speak to you about now. The knight held its breath. Edmund's treachery has two prices, Aslan said. The first is my blood. The second is his place in Narnia. By the deep magic, someone who betrays as Edmund has done forfeits their claim forever. He should be exiled, written from the story, as if he had never been. No, Susan said immediately, fiercely. No, he deserves a chance. He was frightened and jealous, and he made a terrible mistake, but he's my brother, and he deserves... Someone would have to take his place, Aslan said quietly. The words fell into the night like stones into water. Not in death, he continued, but in exile, in forgetting. Someone would have to carry what he should have carried. The loss, the emptiness, the years of searching for something they cannot name. The hole, the ache, the gap between themselves and everyone else. For perhaps a lifetime. Susan understood. The understanding arrived, complete and cold and clear. You're asking me? I am. For how long? I cannot tell you. Will I come back? His eyes held 50 years of patient sorrow. What is freely given in love is never truly lost. But when and whether and how, his voice dropped. That I cannot promise you, Susan the Gentle. And I won't remember choosing. I won't remember this conversation. No, you will wake in the morning knowing only that something precious is gone. You will carry the ache of it without knowing what you're aching for. You will search your whole life without knowing what you're searching for. The stars wheeled overhead. Susan looked towards the stone table. She looked at Lucy sleeping, at the empty space where Edmund should have been. Edmund who was small and cruel and jealous sometimes. Edmund who was also her brother, who had once held her hand in the dark when he was 8 years old and so frightened. Edmund who deserved more than to be erased before his story had properly begun. She took one breath and said the most important word she would ever say. Yes. Aslan bowed his great golden head, and when he raised it again, his eyes were full of something she could not understand, would not understand until 59 years had passed. Susan the Gentle, he said, and his voice was like the first morning of the world. What you are doing is the truest and most costly courage I have ever witnessed in any human soul. He stepped close, I will be with you, he said, every moment, every search, every prayer you don't know you're praying, every book you write without understanding why, every ache, every shaft of golden light that makes you cry, every church and temple and silence and 3 a.m. darkness. Even if I forget your name, especially then. His breath was warm on her face. It smelled of summer and old forests and something holy and ancient. You will not know I am there, but I will be there. I will never leave you, not for one single moment of all the long years to come. Will I remember this ever? Not until the very end. His voice became a whisper. Then you will understand everything, and it will all have been worth it. I promise you. Susan closed her eyes. She felt something enormous shift in her chest, moving through her and away. A door closing, a wall rising. And then Susan gasped, eyes flying open in the hospital bed. Mum! Catherine leaned forward. You're awake. But Susan wasn't looking at Catherine. No. She was staring at the foot of the bed, where something impossible stood. Something golden, something magnificent, something more real than anything else in the room, more real than the monitors, the oxygen, the fluorescent lights, the linoleum floor, something she had been searching for without knowing it for 59 years. You came, she breathed. I said I would never leave you, said a voice like summer and thunder. And I never did. I remember, Susan whispered. Oh, I remember everything. Yes, dear one, everything. The stone table, the choice, Edmund. Urgency flooded her voice. Did it work? Did he? King Edmund the Just, he lived every moment of his redemption fully. He became exactly who he was meant to become. Your sacrifice brought him everything he needed to be everything he was. Susan closed her eyes in relief, so total it felt like putting down a weight she'd forgotten she was even carrying. And Peter and Lucy, waiting for you, dear one. They have known for a long time what you did. They've been waiting all these decades to tell you what they think of you. For 59 years I forgot, Susan said. 59 years and I never understood what I was carrying or why. I just knew it was there. But you carried it. And the voice held something she'd never expected to hear in it. Something that sounded like reverence. You carried it faithfully, every story, every search, every prayer you didn't know you were praying, every letter to someone whose name you couldn't remember. Susan reached for Catherine's hand, held it tight. It's all right, darling, she said gently. I know what's happening. I'm not frightened. I'm not confused. I'm remembering everything I gave up 59 years ago. Mum, what did you give up? Catherine's voice was barely a whisper. My place, Susan said simply. I gave up my place so someone I loved could keep his. And, my darling, it was worth it. She smiled. Catherine, it was worth every single year. She looked at the golden presents at the foot of her bed. "I'm ready," she breathed. "I know," said the voice, and it was warm with something that had no human name. "And Susan, Edmund has waited all these years to thank you properly. He will not be able to get the words out, just so you know." Susan laughed. In a hospital bed with monitors beeping and her daughters sobbing, Susan Pevensie laughed. "Then let's not make him wait any longer," she said. She lay back against the pillow. She closed her eyes and she let go. And Susan Pevensie, who had carried something invisible and enormous for 59 years without knowing what it was or why, set it down at last and stepped through. That's the end of chapter 9, and next, chapter 10, the last chapter. Thank you.